This is a picture of me and my mom.
Most people love their moms.
Thank you, Mom.
Thank you, Mom.
Thank you, Mama.
Mamá, esto es para ti.
My mother, I love you.
My mother, who did craft services for the film,
Christians teach their kids that they should
Honor thy mother and father, that thy days may be long upon the land that the Lord giveth thee. It's the only commandment that comes with a promise attached.
But what if there's nothing honorable about your mom? We're going to talk about that today on this episode of Life and Stuff. When you think about your mom, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
If you close your eyes and imagine that you're transported back in time into your mom's kitchen, maybe you can recall the smell of some deliciousness wafting through the air. And if you do, that's cool. See, most people think of their mom as a saint anyway. Completely ignoring the elephant in the room that at some point in time, your mother was sexually active. The mother myth is the idea that all mothers are noble, honorable people. It's the idea that a woman is automatically magically endowed with certain personality traits as a result of simply becoming pregnant.
I just think it's a little more complicated than that.
You ain't got the answers, man. You ain't got the answers.
But what if there's something wrong? Like an addiction? Years ago, before my wife and I quit, we used to smoke cigarettes. Each time my wife found out she was pregnant, she quit smoking right away. But what if the mom in question has a stronger addiction, like street drugs, like cocaine, or meth, or heroin? Or what if she has a prescription pill problem, or an over-the-counter problem, like alcohol? Having a mom who is a slave to addiction can mess up a child's world in some horrible, permanent ways.
It would be unfair to say that every mother who has an addiction abuses her child, but many do.
You think you're a good mother?
I think I'm a good mother.
Good mom, you said? Good mom? She's kicked out of school at age 11 for fighting, arrested at age 12 for battery against her sister Jasmine, probation until March of this year, pregnant at 12. Violated probation, stole makeup, and is cutting to relieve her stress.
Did you know that? No, I didn't.
It might feel impossible to forgive a mother for what she's done under the influence. Some mothers have personality disorders, and it's nobody's fault that kids aren't born prepared to deal with anxiety or depression or bipolar or post-traumatic stress disorder coming straight out of the womb.
And I want to argue that having a behavioral disorder doesn't automatically make you a bad mom. But things like hitting, beating, bruising, trying to control a child through violence, that's a deep-rooted sign of something significant and is an obvious sign of abuse. Hollywood has seen the face of the bad mother and shown her to the world in movies like Precious.
In truth, watching this movie is like watching someone kick a puppy for 2 hours. I cried. Monique won an Oscar for her role as Mary, the mother of Precious. I believe Precious is Hollywood shining a bright 4K light on one of the ugliest flaws of humanity. This can also be seen in the film Mommy Dearest.
I don't ask much from you, girl. Why can't you give me the respect that I'm entitled to? Why can't you treat me the way I would be treated by any stranger on the street? Because I am not one of your fans!
Some women get categorized as bad moms unjustly. My mom was a foster parent for over 20 years, bringing dozens of children from troubled homes into our home. Many of these young mothers recognize themselves trapped in addictions and dangerous lifestyles. They offered up their children for adoption in the hopes that change of environment might help their child to survive.
Women who've been separated and alienated from their own kids, and their kids are lied to about who their parents really are, or who their parents really were.
Psychology today says just because someone gave birth does not mean they're automatically the loving maternal kind. Their love can be like a hurricane. The fact is, many people, not only as a child but even into their adulthood, experience ongoing emotional and psychological abuse at the hands of their biological mothers.
Bruh, some women are just bad mothers. There's no getting around it.
Then police let me take them, and he said no, he didn't have time because they were in car seats and it was going to take time for me to get them out of the car seat.
Yeah, don't feel sorry for her. She's lying.
He said, but I won't hurt them, and he just took off. But he had a gun. And
she is lying like a rug.
My big thing is they were screaming, hollering, crying.
She is not shedding one single tear.
I'm just scared that he just lost his patience.
This is Susan Smith. She killed her children and blamed it on an imaginary black man. She drowned her children in a car that she drove into a lake. She was convicted, but she didn't get the death penalty. While in prison, she's been punished for repeated drug use, mutilating another inmate, and improper sexual conduct. Yeah, meet Casey Anthony. She was once called the most hated woman in America because her child disappeared. She lied to police. Then her child's body was found in the woods less than 5 minutes away from her home. She acted like she didn't know nothing.
So your parents had her?
My dad did.
And next thing we know, she's missing, right? How did it play?
I did what I was told. I don't remember too much of what happened.
Bad moms are stingy with their time.
Some moms have to cook, clean, wash, carpool, band practice, PTA. But bad moms never have time for their kids. They're always tired or have something else to do that doesn't involve the kid.
A child has a voice because it needs one. Bad moms don't communicate. Nah. No.
They dictate, they scorn, they reprimand. Bad moms don't listen when you talk. They just wait for their turn to speak.
Now, sadly, some moms cannot hear their child's voice. Bad moms choose not to hear their child's voice.
A bad mom will use God himself to hurt their children.
You old woman.
Why didn't you tell me, Mama?
And God made Eve from the rib of Adam. And it was weak and loosed the raven on the world. And the raven was called sin. Say it. The raven was called sin.
Why didn't you tell me, Mama?
Say it.
No.
The raven was called sin.
So the question we started off with was, what do you do if your mom isn't honorable? What if you have had to unlearn and reparent yourself because your mother made your home toxic? What if you were abused? What if your mother's love was conditional? Or at least that's how it felt. I heard someone say that every mother is a good example. But as a mom, you have to ask yourself, an example of what?
Hey guys, it's me, Johnny Jupiter. I think I have to tell you that this has been one of the hardest Life and Stuff videos that I've made so far. I wasn't prepared for the places that this took me emotionally. I wasn't aware that abuse and neglect and adult child abuse were such massive, incredible issues, and that so many people all over the world suffer at the hands of a bad mom. I've heard people talk about something called a generational curse. Normally, the people who are talking about this are the kind of people who are trying to get you to buy their book, or they're the kind of people who are trying to fill up pews in their church. TD Jakes has a $200 curse-breaking kit. I'm not buying it. I think that if there was something that could be called a generational curse, it would be the bad mom. Because a mom abusing or neglecting her children, and then they grow up and then they think that that's normal, they're going to do the same thing to their kids and so forth and so on, and it's going to spread. And I know that there are people out there who feel like their mom doesn't love them, or their mom doesn't care about them. Well, I care about you. I do. I love you. I do. I stayed up and a couple of nights, lost some sleep because I was reading statistics that broke my heart, and I was watching movies that challenged my beliefs. I made this video with you in mind, so don't think that nobody cares, because people care, you know. It's just sometimes victims of abuse enable through silence. You have to speak. You can't let them take your voice away, whatever you do. Don't ever let them take your voice away. And I mean that, you know. I care about you. I'm put it to you like this. When I was in the hospital, I had a heart attack. My doctor was like, you gotta quit smoking cigarettes. So I was like, not me, please. But like 2-3 days passed and I'm in the hospital and I didn't smoke a cigarette. I was like, hey, yo, I need to get out of here. I need to smoke a cigarette, heart attack or not. And he explained to me, he's like, the nicotine is already out of your system. It's psychological now. I never picked up another cigarette after that. I'm telling you that story because I think that sometimes we think that we need things that we really don't. Sometimes the love that we're actually seeking is inside of us, and we just have to tap it. Anyway, I really enjoyed, you know, doing this episode of Life and stuff. If you guys could leave me some comments, let me know what you thought about this episode. If you'd like to see more, if you'd like to see something different, you want to talk about something else, that's cool. That's cool. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.